All right, 7 o'clock, we'll get things started here. We'll open the meetings. If everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes. Yes, we have a motion to move for the minutes. Dave, happy, all in favor?
Do I have to abstain with marijuana?
Did you read the minutes? Yes. Okay, then you go. Unanimous. Okay, so we're gonna start this evening with a little bit of a celebration. You guys, Peter Weber, here in the audience with us. Spent a good amount of Then go ahead, we're all here this evening, and we invited Peter here this evening because we're gonna present him with the Michael Lazar Award of Excellence. I'm gonna go ahead and read a resolution. We're gonna ask Peter to come up and get embarrassed a little bit. Yep. All right, so whereas the town of DeWitt Planning Board in 2015 established, and we also have Michael Lazar as well. Maybe. The town of DeWitt Planning Board in 2015 established an award in honor of longtime planning board member and chairperson Michael Lazar. And whereas the planning board designated the award to be known as the Michael Lazar Award of Excellence. And whereas Michael Lazar served as a volunteer to the town of DeWitt by serving on the planning board of the town of DeWitt continuously for 28 years. And whereas the award is intended to recognize individuals, persons, or group who exemplify the attributes exhibited by Michael Lazar in his service to the town of DeWitt. And whereas the planning board has duly considered the individual named herein as qualified for the Michael Lazar Award of Excellence by reason of exemplary perseverance, dedication, and goodwill in service to the town of DeWitt, and in furtherance of the best interests of the town of DeWitt, and in maintaining the town of DeWitt as a town of choice. Now therefore, it be resolved that Peter Weber is hereby presented with the Michael Lazar Award of Excellence. Peter appeared as an applicant before the planning board of the town of DeWitt more than 20 years ago. The following year, leaving the College of Service, he became a member of the planning board. Eventually in 2015, taking on the inevitable task of following in the footsteps of longtime and respected town of DeWitt chairperson Michael Lazar. During this pivotal time for the town, Peter garnered the respect of his fellow board members, board applicants, and the community by his unwavering dedication to excellence for the town and fairness to all who presented projects to the town. Peter recently visited, photographed, and documented nearly all major projects that have been approved by the planning board over the past several years, and compiled a glossy book of scores of projects that can serve as a blueprint for future boards and applicants to strive towards. In a strictly volunteer and uncompensated capacity, Peter devotedly spearheaded and chaired no less than 6 regular meetings per month, always making additional time to meet on additional and numerous occasions with applicants or staff to usher projects to the finish line, or just answer a few questions. Peter's dedication to the town planning board process, but foremost, town is unparalleled. In his tenure, Peter took on the daunting task of assuring the town continued to grow and flourish despite the pandemic challenges with Zoom meetings and remote communications. Peter took a learn-as-you-go mentality with good humor and perseverance to keep the planning board humming. A true believer in the town, Peter's tenure is also marked by his embracing of the concept that change and progress is essential for growth and prosperity in the town. With 20 years of uncompromising standards for himself and his town, Peter can proudly survey the town and see the many projects and accomplishments of his tenure that have maintained the town of DeWitt as a town of choice. It is therefore fitting that the Michael Lazar Award of Excellence be bestowed upon Peter Weber. Be it so resolved by the planning board of the town of DeWitt. So. So at this point, we're gonna ask Mike Lazar to present.
We have a talk a little.
I was honored to have this named after a It was the first one is 2016, and I'll just read the names. I think all of you know the people. Joanne Gagliano of EDR, Paul Fowler, Dick Robb, who was worked in the office for over 20 years. And Jamie, what's this? Oh, Jamie Sutton. And then we got Peter Weber for 2024. Peter whispered in my ear, there's one thing he'd like to say before we give this to him. He's got a little project at the first tee, so just amend that to approve his project. I'm really honored to give it to Peter. I've known him for, I don't know, 30 years probably. He came in here from, he represented the university in a lot of projects, managed some unbelievably large, complex things. And he didn't understand this planning board thing, but we had some review authority, and it seemed like no matter what he wanted to do, we reviewed it. If it was big, if it was small, and he just didn't seem to like it. Turns out he ended up joining a long line of contractors, developers, who realized after the project was done that it was better than he envisioned when he started it, and long term was much better. You can speak to that yourself, but you know. And he was a very, very busy guy, and when I realized that I wasn't anxious to renew that after the 28th year, I realized that about on the 20th year that this was going to be my last term. And I told Peter that I would really like him to join the board, and with the goal of taking over after when I was gone, because I knew we had the management skills and the vision of what the position required. And he couldn't come to every meeting, and I told him that was fine. And he certainly couldn't come to the meetings that we were approving things on. So, but when the time came, he stepped up to the plate, and you folks, most of you know better than I know what was accomplished. And the thing that stands out in my mind is the level-headedness and the idea to really switch a whole bunch of things that we had to during COVID. And basically the town did not shut down on that. It was the beginnings of it were bumpy, more because of the technical parts of it that just, it was hard to get those things working, but the town did, and the results, what Jamie referred to in the resolution, the book that Peter put together, is amazing what was done and the quality that I can say honestly that I think that the team that's here now does a better job than I did then, as far as keeping the forward look and making sure that you don't let the quality go down, because that was a commitment to every single project before that the town is going to keep the town the way it is. It will only allow it to get better. The minimum standards are the best thing that was approved recently. So, Peter, I personally thank you for that. And I'll shut up.
No, well, there's not much more to say, but I do have a few words, Michael. Michael's been like a father and brother to me. He's been amazing. Try not to hold up all the applicants. Jamie said they have all their resolution approvals. I could do that on my way out. Just a few things. First of all, Mike was my mentor, not just for the 15 years before, but for up till today. I mean, I talked to Michael weekly, and he was involved with all of this. We took the foundation, the comprehensive plan, the zoning, the design guidelines. I mean, the foundation was there. A couple issues from a town perspective was that in a crisis management, which he faced, it, I told him it was more, my management style was a participatory. Democratic management style, this was a little more dictatorial. But necessarily, but he asked me if it could be a benevolent dictatorial, which it was. And but he had said it, and I could tell you that this board, it started with Michael, and I go right around the room with Kevin, his engineer, Kathy Kotz at home, Doug Arena and all of his, Jenny, I don't know as well, but Jamie Sutton, Mark Parrish isn't here consulting, Nick with his architecture life and Joe. There is, I've served on a lot of boards, chaired a lot of boards at the university and credit union, and there's never been a more productive, intellectual, professional, and hardworking board that we have here. And this is, you're gonna, I apologize, I forgot the first name, but Alana is gonna be, because we had 8, count them, in my tenure as 8 directors of planning and development that we worked in a very difficult time. And the board, and now with first Terry and Doug, we were able to really get things settled and go in the right direction. So I'm very pleased. Joey's here a lot, and Max, they've been really helpful. But as I look at where we are, and I just want to say a couple things and put it in perspective. The board, thank you. I mean, it couldn't happen without this. I'm proud that we had everything that came in front of us in the last 10 years was approved, and 99 9/10 were approved unanimously. And it wasn't because everyone fell in line. These are very independent, free thinkers that we did a lot of homework beforehand, and we try to keep the meetings about an hour long. Chancellor Shaw try to keep speeches, you know, they say short speeches make for long friendships, so I'm going to try to keep it short. But this is amazing, and you can look around the room, and that's why I did a photographic kind of coffee table book. But it has, if you look at every picture tells 1,000 words as to what we were trying to accomplish. And boy, we did it well. It wasn't all perfect through traffic going out on Starbucks, but I look at everything else, and it's amazing. And it was just, everybody had a role and they worked it well. We always had quorums, and I remember in particular, I have to thank, and my daughter's here, by the way, first of all, she's representing the family, Elizabeth, that she my wife's. Yeah. Okay. My baby, my wife, Daria couldn't be here, and she wanted to be. Her sister celebrating a big birthday, and she went down to Charlotte, North Carolina. And she has heard everything, because they're not just all those meetings, there's phone calls, and there's a lot of phone calls, and Doug and Max, you know, they're just, I talk with Jamie several times a week, every week throughout the year, and it was so productive. Having said that, I will say that Daria got so involved that one time we were doing an electronic meeting, I was on the way to Myrtle Beach, and she listened to the whole hour and a half. It was a long one. And I don't know if you remember, but after this, and she was going like this and making all these signs like, no, I can't control the applicants. So at the end, I said a motion to adjourn, and it was like quiet. And finally Daria says, I make the motion to adjourn. Oh, that's legal. We have a second. That's a true story. That's how much the family got involved, and I'm very appreciative. But this is a great board. And Michael, you know, when I go around, and I grew up in Pittsford, and I was very proud my dad was on the town board, but I was very proud to try to, you know, walk in his footsteps a little bit about contributing back, you know, something. And I'd be the last, because I have not the talent. And we have construction, we have architecture, more architecture. That's it there. Good luck, Michael. And Kathy and Kevin, and they all bring their own strengths and others before them that just made this thing, you know, it's a pleasure. I will admit that I don't miss the early morning meetings and the evening meetings, but I won't make this any longer. I'm honored to have Michael, you.
Yeah, we missed a donuts.
Pardon? Donuts, yeah, tell me, I had a few too many, but no, you're gonna have a great career here. This is a wonderful town. It is a town of choice. The foundation, the comprehensive plan, I mean, they need to be, modified and work with the parking and all that, but there's so much going on that is, so exciting. The shopping town, I think, Chick-fil-A, which I'm pretty fond of myself, but, the building, the pathology lab, I mean, it's not going backwards. It is a town of choice and I look at some of the new houses and home, it's just terrific. So thank you very much for the honor and thank you so much for what you did for me because you made my job easier. And I really enjoyed my calls to you individually to make sure that, if I had conversations that we were all, there wasn't anybody that lacked knowledge in regard to what we were producing. So thank you.
And Peter, we have the resolution here.
Oh,
Sorry. So. Resolution there. You can walk away with no.
all that. I gave your gavel away. That's part of the dictatorial thing. I gave it to Michael. He's got it separate. The gavel. I thought that was a little too,
I gave it to Abby.
oh, you gave it to him?
Thank you. And then we all get to.
Oh, that's very nice of you.
You need to open it.
That's it.
You need to open it.
I need to over it.
Well, no, not the 2 weeks, that to be.
Oh.
That week.
Okay, you didn't need to do anything. Oh, that's beautiful. These are cups with a. Let me open it.
We'll break it. We have Peter.
Oh, that's the man with the wit. This is gorgeous. Thank you. This will go right in with our Waterford crystal. This is beautiful. Thank you so much. I really
We
appreciate it.
spent a lot of time working on it and we wanted you to.
Well, it's
It's the whole town.
it's a special town and it's home to my family and I and the note I got from Daria was pretty special just to say how proud she was of me, but of all that we've accomplished. And it doesn't get any better than that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy your Thursdays.
And one day, same next day.
Okay. On to business.
You have a cake tonight.
Yes, I'm going to visit my daughter out for dinner.
I have a question. How come he keeps talking about hour and a half meetings?
And.
Yeah, we didn't have one yet.
2.5 hours.
2 hours, 50
No,
minutes.
that wasn't me.
I know.
That's true.
But I'm not coming back.
Okay, so we're gonna push ahead here. First up, 6,800 East Tennessee. And this is essentially a resolution to go back to the town board for the overlay. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at the resolution? Are there any questions? The issues, great job. The issues were some additional criteria that we needed to review and make a recommendation findings back to the town board. So this resolution. Bear with me. I know. There's no hour and a half meeting for the resolution, like it's very long. Recommendation for 6,800 East Genesee or 6,800 Department LLC. This is a recommendation from the Town of DeWitt Planning Board for the DeWitt Town Board regarding the proposed Genesee Street mixed use project, tax map 65.03-01.0 to amend the official zoning map, the Town of DeWitt pursuant to section 192-64.4 mixed use village floating overlay district. The Town of DeWitt Planning Board has made a recommendation to the town board on October 6, 2023 regarding the proposed Genesee Street mixed use project above noted to amend the official zoning map of the Town of DeWitt pursuant to section 192-64.4 mixed use village floating overlay district. Having made findings therein, this board recommended that the town board amend the zoning map pursuant to section 192-121 of the code. As to the parcel which is the subject of this applicant, to modify the zoning to mixed-use village overlay floating district MUD 2. The town board reviewed the referral and requested that this board make more specific findings with respect to the recommendations, specifically referring to section 192-121 of the code. Therefore, in making and reiterating this positive recommendation, the planning board finds as follows. A. The change in the zoning as recommended herein to allows for mixed use is consistent with the town's comprehensive plan and other town code MUD legislation. The comprehensive plan of the town supports mixed-use development that promotes cost-effective development. And further, the town enacted the section 192-64.4 mixed-use floating overlay district in 2018, amended in 2023, which provides for the use proposed herein. And further, the town zoning map was amended to so that this overlay would apply to the location of this proposed project in the tax map parcel noted herein. The implementation of the mixed use zoning is consistent with this relatively new implemented code modification. Item B, the adoption of this zoning is compatible with present zoning, which is special business transitional, which zone is intended to provide a transition between business uses and the directly adjacent residential uses. The MUV use fits that transitional nature and is further conforming with the uses of nearby properties, and that the MUV zoning allows for more compatible residential uses, which would not otherwise be available in the special business transitional zone. The mixed business and residential uses proposed for the new MUV zoning designation are suitable for the property which is intended to be rezoned. The board has reviewed the concept plan and subject to the final site plan review. The proposed mixed-use project has incorporated elements of the site plan and architecture which demonstrates that this property is suitable for this zoning designation and fits the site. And D, public services and infrastructure are in place for the uses that would be permitted in the MUB zone, and review by the town engineer has found same to be generally suitable and adequate for uses allowed within the proposed MUB district. Item E. TIs, this zoning channel, and improvements. This zoning change for the general welfare, or does it? That was just a question. Or does it only benefit the individual?
Yeah, sorry, it is for the general welfare and not only for the benefit of the individual,
And not
it's
only-
positive,
yep.
yeah, those words got a little messed up, sorry. And does not only benefit the individual owner. Okay.
The applicant has already presented plans which have been reviewed by the planning board, which demonstrates that the parcel is able to be reasonably developed for the uses permitted in the MUB district, and specifically, the applicant has demonstrated a willingness to establish a project that will conform with the intent of the mixed use overlay code in integrating commercial and residential uses through architecture, site plan amenities, and pedestrian friendly areas. This board has reviewed the concept application for this project, which will be a project intending to utilize the provisions of section 192-64.4 of the town code, which is floating overlay district. Accordingly, pursuant to an application having been made and at the request of the applicant and in accordance with the applicable code provisions, this board recommends that the town board amend the zoning map pursuant to section 192-121 of the code. And as to the parcel which is the subject of this applicant, to amend the official zoning map of the town of DeWitt pursuant to 192-64.4 mixed use village floating overlay district, so as to modify the zoning to mixed use village overlay floating district MUV-2. This recommendation is made with the understanding and condition that this project will be referred back to the planning board for a full site plan review in accordance with the code. This recommendation further made with the specific understanding of the board that the prior variances as it relates to signage will no longer apply, as this new zoning designation will allow or new zoning designation allows a new use, a new project in and is now located in a new zoning district. May I have a motion? Kevin, Doug? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. So that'll go back to the town board, and we'll look to see them after they have an opportunity to review that.
Right,
All right,
thank you.
next up, Benderson Development. So we need the date in the last plans.
October 3rd, 2023.
That is the last set of drawings that we have. So everyone's familiar with this. This is the project where we've subdivided the lots, the use, intensity. Okay, I'm gonna read a resolution. This is a subdivision approval. Motion to approve the subdivision plan last dated October 3rd, 2023, with the following findings and conditions. This is a simple subdivision of land under the code and no new lots are created. Rather, this involves a combination of 3 lots into 1, which is the movement of lot lines. The lots herein, consolidated herein, are in a business zoning district of the town and improves the property by eliminating a curb cut and allowing only 1 business use on site, which improves the overall site and area, and no public interest will warrant a public hearing. That's great. Accordingly, and in light of the above, this board waives public hearing requirements for subdivision as permitted by the code, where there are no new lots created and there is no public interest in this lot line adjustment. Number 4, this board has reviewed the EAS submitted by the applicant and issues a negative secret declaration for the project, finding no significant adverse environmental impacts for the project. Number 5, the applicant must file the subdivision map with in the Onondaga County Clerk's office in accordance with the rules of Onondaga County and provide a copy of the stamp filed map with the town of DeWitt Department of Planning and Zoning. This is right. Site plan. Right.
First one.
Okay, so then may I have a motion on the subdivision? Dave? Kathy, all in favor? Aye, unanimous. This is the same October 3rd, 2023. Is that correct?
For the, well,
Site plan.
The site plan. The site plan.
We looked at the site plan last time.
site plan is October 3rd, but no, the subdivision plan would have a different date.
Subdivision plan was not October 3rd.
Subdivision was not, no, the civil and site plan is October 3rd. So there's separate subdivision plans. That wouldn't be part of the civil, they were separate application.
So we just, yeah. We're just looking at subdivision, just need the correct date.
Correct.
That's when right there.
So that, well, that's just the survey. If you zoom out, that's actually just the existing boundary and topo. That's not then the secondary subdivision map. Which isn't part of this set, that was submitted separately. I want to say it was
Can you
in
go back to
December. I feel like the date was sometime in December. Yeah, so if you do the proposed one, top one. Yep, so that's the correct, so then
So that's the existing.
that is the proposed one, so yeah, the lower right hand corner should have the. November 9th.
Is that we're gonna change it or?
Yeah, so for this one, there was no, they just created a new, there's no revisions on this one, because we just created the new one.
Right.
Yeah, I just saw multiple dates up on.
Yeah.
my-
Oh, where they, so yeah, if you wanna scroll up, there might be.
Yeah.
The site plans.
Right there. Drawn, changed, chapters, okay.
Yeah, that guy's starting to November 9th.
Mhm.
So for the subdivision, we'll change that to November 9th. For the site, for subdivision is November 9th, for site plan is October 3rd.
Correct.
So for the site plan approval. I'm gonna make a motion to approve the site plan last dated October 3rd, 2023, with the following findings and conditions. Findings, number 1. The project herein will be constructed on a newly consolidated lot, which provides for elimination of a road cut and less cluttered site, and also provides for a new sidewalk, which is an improvement to this corridor. Number 2, this board reviewed the Onondaga County Planning Board referral of February 14, 2024, and accepts the finding therein as a condition of this approval that the applicant is required to coordinate Erie Boulevard East, New York State Route 5 access plans with the New York State Department of Transportation. And that this modification to existing driveways will be required. Any further to meet DOT requirements, the applicant must submit a copy of the stormwater pollution prevention plan, SWIP, and lighting plan to the department for review.
For the SWIP, the project's under an acre of disturbance, so it wouldn't require DEC. Construction permit.
Whatever the DOT requires.
Okay,
is
all right.
What we're saying here.
Okay. I'll let Jeff.
That was in the.
It was in the county resolution, I didn't get a chance, I just saw that, so I didn't get a chance to then talk to the DOT, okay, I'll let the DOT know.
Whatever the DOT says.
Perfect, yep.
Yeah.
If we can confirm that they don't want it.
Yep,
send
I'll
us a
talk to
letter.
Jeff about that and confirm that, yep.
Okay, that'd be great.
Any mitigation required by the DOT is a requirement of this approval. Number 3, this board has reviewed the EAF submitted by the applicant and issued a negative secret declaration for the project, finding no significant adverse environmental impacts for the project. Number 4, the parking spaces on this newly consolidated site are,
If we can pull up and just.
I mean,
I want to think there's a total.
What are you looking for next?
The total number of parking spaces.
on the new,
There's 40 total provided now,
44?
40.
the parking spaces on this newly consolidated site are 40 spaces. While this number is less than the code may require for a new construction project, as is permissible per 192-103, which provides that where a new use is legally established with deficient required parking, the new use may be established with the deficiency provided the intensity of use is not increased. The very use is legally established. In this case, the intensity of use is lessened where there is only 1 and not 2 retail establishments on the site. And the number of spaces is actually increased on the site. Additionally, the use remains as retail. Accordingly, this board finds that the parking spaces on site are sufficient as presented. Conditions, number 1, this site approval is conditioned upon the applicant filing a subdivision map as per the subdivision approval issued this same date. Number 2, the approval is made with the further conditions that this approval is for plans and other submitted documents, site plan documents that have been signed by the planning board chairperson and the applicant, and requires that all of the work shown be completed by the applicant in order for certificate of occupancy or compliance to be issued. Any proposed changes, additions, or deletions to the scope of work or materials from the site plan documents are not approved and are subject to further site plan review pursuant to the town of DeWitt Code section 192-122. Motion. Joe? All second, all in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you very much, everybody.
I know I should know your name, but
Matt, last name is Oates, OATES.
thank you.
Have a great evening, everybody.
You too. Next up is Northwood. This is another one that we spent some good time working together. This is for site plan approval. I think Unless you have updates, we're just gonna move right through.
That's fine.
Stop while you're ahead.
All right, this is a resolution for the Northwood multifamily site plan approval for tax map number 018-03-02.1. Need the date on these drawings here.
February 20th, 2024.
Motion to approve the site plan last dated February 20th, 2024, to allow for one multifamily dwelling on the property with the following findings and conditions. Findings, this is a site plan for,
Can I back up 1 second? I just want, is that the last one? They were dated February 20th. Did we look at this exact one on Tuesday?
No.
Okay,
No,
is there
that's a
something
new
that?
date. I mean, that's only a day
Just
old.
an interior reconfiguration.
Okay,
It's still a 3-bedroom unit with 2.5 baths, but the kitchen arrangement inside the unit has changed somewhat.
so this is not the one that they pulled out the.
I mean, it can't be. I mean, today's the 22nd. It's dated 2 days ago. I think like Mike's saying, he's got interior changes.
but none of the, it's the same as what we saw last time on the exterior,
Yes,
right?
the exterior hasn't changed at all.
Interior reconfiguration that I'm concerned about. This still has the breezeway between it.
Exactly, yes.
Move
The whole exterior.
The other alternate that we were dismissed.
We dismissed that, yes.
Right.
The symmetrical roof arrangement, we went with the asymmetrical roof configuration.
We scroll down.
So that-
Keep going. Go back.
Well, keep going, if you want to see the section.
No, I just wanna make sure that,
Yeah, I think we need to see the section like Mike's saying.
just take a look at it. There it was.
Here.
Yeah.
That's it,
Okay,
okay,
Thank you.
and this also has the garage.
that's correct. Go to sheet one back, sheet A6. We'll have the garage on it.
Right there.
Right there. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get through. Yep.
And it was rotated and shifted off
Angle.
that angled separation between the two districts.
Okay. Any questions? No. Findings.
Or did it, I think I stopped you at the February date. So.
Yes, so we're at findings.
Mhm.
This is a site plan for use of a multifamily dwelling, 3 dwelling units total. The balance of the parcel is zoned industrial, and there is currently no plan for modification to that site. Although the sites are adjoined, all functions of the multifamily dwelling, including access, parking, and accessory structures, are located on the business transitional zone portion of the site. This whole of the property tax map number 018.03-02.1 is a split zone property for partially industrial and partially business transitional. It was most recently the site of a winery, which included a tasting room building, outdoor entertainment space, a wine processing area, food service venue, parking, access, and vineyards. All of which were permitted on the site with the site plan approval having been granted by the planning board. The property no longer houses a winery. The applicant recently changed the use of one of those buildings on the business transitional portion of the site to a two-family dwelling, which, while an allowable use, did not obtain site plan approval as required by the South Town zoning code. This applicant appeared before this board to seek approval for the apartment building use as well as an appropriate conversion of the additional building on the business transitional site. Town Codes Office issued an opinion as attached here too regarding proposed uses of the site. Accordingly, the applicant presented the application currently before this board to convert the 2 buildings on the business transitional portion of the property only into one multifamily building. The balance of the parcel is zoned industrial and there's currently no plan for modifications to part of the site. All functions of the multifamily dwelling, including access, parking, and accessory structures, are located on the business transitional site. Since the original structures on the parcel already exists, the board and the applicant are presented with a unique situation where architecture and function must be utilized to assure that only one conforming structure is present to meet code. After working with the applicant and its architect, the board is satisfied that the two formally separate structures are sufficiently and appropriately joined physically and architecturally to be a single building structure on the premises, which constitutes a single multifamily dwelling. The Onondaga County Planning Board referral of 214-24 found no significant adverse intercommunity or countywide implications. Conditions. The industrial zone portion of the parcel is permitted to remain as it currently is and is shown on the site plan presented, and any proposed modifications thereto must be brought to this board for site plan approval and must be in conformance with the premises as zoned and any other applicable regulations. This approval is made with the further condition that this approval is for plans and other submitted documents, site plan documents that have been signed by the planning board chairperson and the applicant, and requires that all of the work shown be completed by the applicant in order for a certificate of occupancy or compliance to be issued. Any proposed changes, additions, or deletions to the scope of work or materials from the site plan documents are not approved and are subject to further site plan review pursuant to the town code with section 192-122. A motion. Yes.
There kind of question.
Yep.
Thanks, Lloyd. We discussed that, that we may not build the garage at this time. And that, you know, may occur later, but I don't wanna not be able to occupy that apartment if we don't build the garage.
So, yeah, so if you decide not to build the garage, then your site plan approval is going to run out for that. And we'll just let Doug know, you don't have to come back, we'll just do a quick modification if you decide not to build it. I think you have a year.
Right, but we wanna make sure that we have the CO to occupy that apartment.
You have to come in for the building permit, then you'll get the CO when the work is complete.
No,
That's
I,
independent of the garage.
okay, I just wanna make sure that it is.
So whatever your application is for the building permit would be
So-
what it would be based on.
So we can add a resolution
We
that
had a third condition, the garage will be phase 2 of this project.
Right, so in other words, if we just, we get the permit, we build the apartment, we
Yep.
do the connection.
Correct.
And I can lease it.
Yep,
Okay,
as
so
long
that's,
as all those conditions are met. And then phase 2 of the project would be the garage. And you'd have to come back and get a building permit for the phase 2 part of that.
yeah,
project.
because it is on this plan right now.
Yep, and we're looking at it as kind of a mini master plan for what you're trying to do right now. So we'll look at that as a phase 1 and a phase 2, so you can get your building permit for phase 1 to get this part built, you satisfy all the conditions, Doug's good with it, right?
Are you saying there's
Yeah,
a possibility you might not build the garage?
Yes,
Jamie, do you wanna put a time frame on the garage, like a year or
Right,
even?
so-
Doesn't build it at all.
So the site plan approval is good for a year. You can pull a permit. If the year passes, your site plan approval expires, but at that point, if you decide not to build it, then codes will look and say, decide not to build it, and then we'll modify the site plan approval to remove it.
And then if you want to build it later, we'll have to put it back up.
You have to put it back on, right? But- Right, just because years, like, if you do something else in 3 years, it'll be like, where's the garage, you know? So we have to get like a modification that wipes it off if you decide not to build it. After a year passes, which is how long your site plan approval is good for.
Good. We should be also have to come in for the building permit for the other stuff.
Right?
Well, Jamie, ready? She's gonna read it up. She's gonna read something.
The garage will be phase 2 of the project. The site plan approval will be good for the 1 year to pull a building permit. If the applicant decides not to build within that year, the matter will be brought back to the planning board so that the garage will be removed from the site plan.
Do I have motions? Kevin, Kathy, you want in favor? Good. All right, thank you. The last up, Livingston Energy. Okay, we have Livingston Energy here.
Yes, sir. I am here on video call. I'm sorry that I couldn't join you tonight. I had a local meeting that I had to attend as well.
Okay, we just wanted to. So these drawings came in. Okay,
There should be a set that came in today, but you also did get a set about 2 weeks ago.
Right.
With the
We're still
changes from the
missing-
30th.
mine,
So for the board's information, there was a submission last week that was incomplete. These are QPK drawings, so I called Joe Cavender and I told Joe what we were looking for was the distance on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
For those charger, the
charger space between the back of the charger and the building.
And then I told Joe, the other thing was that we wanted to see some type of a landscape scheme around the other charger, closer to the road. So this is what came in. So what you have in front of you has the distance of 3.5 feet off the wall, so there's sidewalk clearance. And then, it's up to the board to see, if that planting scheme around that other charger is something that you're open to, or if you want something. Up in the corner, I think it shows the two details of where you plant it. But I told,
Yes, sir.
he was under the impression that we wanted one tree, and I said, no, I think the board wanted a landscaping plan. So Joe understood that.
So we've got a tree and 5 shrubs.
Yes, sir.
And what height?
Who's on, please? Can you say your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Lynn Stewart.
We can't see you, that's why we're looking at the mic.
Oh,
Yeah, Lynn's been here before.
So
There she is.
the shrubs that are there, what height at maturity would they be?
height maturity, they would be 3 feet and fully grown. The only thing that's going to be immature, if you will, is going to be the tree.
Joe did provide, to Lynn's point, Joe did provide, a rendering. But it didn't have the detail, and we could pull it up if it helps you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's there, let's take a quick look at it.
Have you seen the cut sheets of the charger? Is that been submitted?
I believe it has, I believe it's in the packet. Yeah.
It was submitted for the board meeting on the 30th of November.
Were we worried about the sidewalk, we not enough room or something?
Yeah, that's what they put on here. It's 3.5 feet clear between the building and the charger now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Mhm.
I think that's what, what had come in.
So they're actually, so the tree is there, but what's not shown in that rendering is the shrubs around.
Around the base of tree,
yeah,
that's what I'm probably.
Yeah.
And that was what was rectified and news received today, so.
Right. So we'll have 3 foot tall shrubs.
Not the plan.
Yes, it's on this plan right here.
We did.
And then it's a slide over, yes,
126,
the other way. There were the chargers, so, but on this schematic, it didn't show the distance, so Joe put the distance on here,
Yep.
3.5 feet.
Right, they got pulled forward, so you're not tripping over.
Right,
Correct.
Right.
right, because they were building on it before, so. Anyone else find it weird that the volleys are on the yellow lines?
And so you
now
can
it's
drive
probably
right
good.
through.
Drive right through.
It's a guideline to the windows.
You may want to slide those bollards to the.
Thread the needle.
The bollards will actually be, that 3D rendering is not the best representation. The bollards will be in front of the actual chargers and nobody's gonna be driving through any windows.
Well, yeah, you think.
Well, if they do, then I commend them.
One
but-
person with the electric car that doesn't realize it's on.
Yeah.
And you try to crash and grab.
So the site plan that we're approving now is 126-24.
Of course, we have like. Basically.
And then receipts. 22. Okay. Are there any other questions, concerns? No, okay. Motion to approve the site plan last dated 126-24 and as received by the town of DeWitt on 2/22/24. This is a modification to the Geiger Automotive site plan approval dated May 13th, 2021, as same was modified by sign approvals dated January 13th, 2022. This board has reviewed the Onondaga County Planning Board referral as of 12/13/2023, which found no significant adverse intercommunity or countywide implications. This application by Livingston Energy Group for the addition of 2 DCFC and 4 EV charging stations and associated improvements from the site plan dated 1/26/24. Our further modification of the prior site plan approvals named above in this approved hearing with the condition that the site plan approvals 5/13/2021 and 1/13/2022 remain in full force and effect, including any findings and conditions therein, except as specifically modified herein. This approval is made with the further condition that this approval is for the plans and other submitted documents, site plan documents that have been signed by the planning board chairperson and the applicant, and requires that all of the work shown be completed by the applicant in order for a certificate of occupancy or compliance be issued. Any proposed changes, additions, or deletions to the scope of work or materials from the site plan documents are not approved and are subject to further site plan review pursuant to the town of DeWitt Code section 192-122. I will move. Is there a second? Kathy, all in favor? Aye, unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I believe that is it. Is there any other?
I had one other question, only because it's been a while since I've gone through a review with you guys. Will there be a final board meeting that I'll have to attend?
Say that.
No, this is it.
This is it.
I'm with you.
We're good? Okay.
Good, done.
Well, I love seeing your faces, but I just wanted to make sure that I didn't miss out on another one. I appreciate it, folks. Thank you so much and have a good evening.
Thank you. Any other business? Motion to close the meeting. First, Kevin, second, all in favor?
And I'm sorry, I missed who made the motion to approve the minutes, because I was getting a little show together.
Oh,
Late.
Me and,
I know Lake and Kelly.
Kelly.
Kathy.
yeah.
These meetings are shorter than our.
Look at that.
Erin stole this one, so now.
I do.
With all three companies, 700 an hour.
I'm like.